Welcome to the RPO Show. I'm your host, Steve Hungarter. My Twitter handle is the IDP Hunter. I'm a writer and analyst over at the Fancy Six Pack and the RPO Network. I'm also the number 4 IDP ranker. Tonight, we're going to discuss all things RPO. We're going to discuss the website. We're going to discuss the combined rookie rankings. So you're in for a treat, ladies and gentlemen. You're getting both the offense and the defense. Now, I'm not joined alone. I'm bringing in a special guest from the Going for Two Network and from the Fancy Six Pack. I'm bringing in Mr. Jamie Perog. Mr. Jamie Perog, he does the Sit Start Show every Sunday morning as well as Going for Two Live. He's also the newest, latest, and greatest IDP analyst over at the Fancy Six Pack. What's going on, my friend?
Oh, I'm so glad to be here with you, man. I'm so excited to talk this RPO rankings.
Heck yeah. And you know what's cool about this? These aren't our rankings, so we can critique them all we want, right?
That is very true, but the fact is, like, I looked at these rankings, and they are so amazing. They're almost exactly the way that my mind thinks. So instead of doing all my research and putting these hours of research and film study, and all I have to do is go on this one website.
You know, I'm not gonna lie. When Leo asked me to come on, I was gonna kind of Kevin Hart this. I was gonna Tom Brady roast their ass a little bit, you know, because I'm friends with Mace. I'm friends with a lot of these guys. But I looked at his rankings. I mean, shoot, let me pull them up. I looked at these rankings. They're very impressive. They're quite good. And I didn't have these early on, and you'll see them. I mean, for the audience on Spotify, you can't see a screen. If you're looking at YouTube, you'll see them. They're not set up for a super flex, but I'm sure me and Jamie, I mean, that's all we play, and we'll talk it like it's a super flex. What do you think?
Oh yeah, we'll go over these rankings, and then we'll kind of give our input on where these quarterbacks should go in the super flex.
I haven't talked to you in a while. How you been doing, buddy?
I've been doing great, man. I'm on my 14th draft, I believe. Just finished my 14th rookie draft. Just started 2 more today, and I made some great trades. I'm
probably there with you. Yeah, about 20.
That's for another show. Yeah, we'll definitely do another show on trades and everything that we made. But I'm looking at these RPO rankings, and I mean, dang, I wish I would have had these when I was doing my rookie drafts. Yeah, Leo's me hours and hours of research, honestly.
Leo and his crew are amazing. And you know what? On that note, let me just start here. They're running a promotion right now. The RPO Football, they're doing all their rookie rankings and all their dynasty rankings. They're free right now. So if you guys want to subscribe, the guys on YouTube seeing this, you want to subscribe, hop on over to the RPO site. Check out what Jamie's talking about. We're going to go over – what do you want to do? The top 4 rounds? Maybe do top 50? We'll throw a couple
we'll do like top 50, which is pretty much in a 12-team league, 48 picks. We'll bring some honorable mentions, maybe some waiver wire pickups after your draft that should be stashed on your taxi squad.
I mean, but let me just pitch this one last time to the audience. You're getting over at the RPO site, you're getting free rookie.
Yeah, pretty much free rankings, man, and they are amazing. I've never seen a free ranking site that is this accurate.
And you're getting it from the top IDP guy in Leo, who was not once but twice the #1 guy the last 2 seasons. Myself, I'm a top 4 IDP ranker. Mace was in the top 10. So where else do you see that kind of advice? You're getting 3 top 10 IDP guys, not to mention defense but offense, free. So I mean, I'm not a salesman, but I definitely would advise people to check this out. What we're about to say.
And are you ready to cut in, James? Honestly, if you're not into the IDP, all you have to do is discard them from these ranks, and it's still exactly pretty much how I would personally rank them. There's a few different things that I have a little different.
I got a couple,
but not much at all.
So let's cut to it. I'm just gonna yell the top 12 at you, and maybe we'll arrange them by Superflex.
Why don't we go in tiers? Why don't we do tiers?
Tiers sounds good. How many tiers you want to do, my friend?
Well, I mean, obviously the top three. Who's the top three in these tiers right now? So, read them off.
At number 1, Marvin Harrison. Number 2, Malik Nabers. Number 3, Rome Odunze.
I mean, obviously those are the only, unless you're in a tight end premium, I could see Brock Bowers above Odunze, but you have to have Marvin Harrison 1, Nabers 2, Odunze 3. Pre-ranking, like the pre-draft rankings, I actually had Nabers above Harrison, only because this dude is unbelievable. But because of his landing spot, I had to move him below Harrison. I'm not a Harrison hater. I'm an Ohio State guy, so you know I love Marvin Harrison. And having Nabers above Harrison pre-draft kind of says something. But with,
I don't see it any other way.
Yeah, Harrison, with the landing spots, you have to have Harrison 1. Nabers, you have to have 2.
What about the next tier of Bowers, Worthy, Thomas? Brock Bowers, Xavier Worthy, and Brian Thomas Jr.
Depends. If you actually, if you drafted well in the past 2 years, and you, let's say you have Laporta, McBride, maybe an Andrews from a couple years ago, I could see you skipping over Brock Bowers and going an Xavier Worthy. But after Worthy, you have to go Bowers.
What's your take on Bowers as a dynasty asset?
I love Bowers. People don't like his landing spot in Vegas, but he's more than just a tight end. He was used as a slot receiver. He was used on the outside. He was actually used as a running back. He actually had like an 80-yard run. I think it was like 75, 80-yard run. So when he was used as a running back, it wasn't just on the goal line. It was a planned run, and he ran it for 80 yards down the field. So that's very impressive to me. And especially with their backfield, I could see them drawing up some plays where he can be used in that backfield with the running backs that they have.
And on that note too, because I got Bowers the overall tight end 1 as well, and I was kind of curious. Let me just get into the top 10 here. After Bowers, we got Worthy, then we have Brian Thomas Jr., then we have Jonathan Brooks. He has Caleb Williams, Ladd McConkley, Keenan Coleman, and in number 11, he has Jayden Daniels. The reason I bring all that up, that's kind of our super flex batting order, just we move around a couple parts, right?
Well, yeah. If you're in a single quarterback league, I wouldn't go Caleb Williams. I actually have Jayden Daniels as my number 1 quarterback in a single quarterback league. Now, if you're in Superflex, obviously you're going Caleb Williams. He's the safest pick. He's going to give you a top 10 quarterback numbers. But Jayden Daniels has that Lamar Jackson upside where he can give you those rushing numbers. And in a single quarterback league, if you're going to take a quarterback in the first round, you want that upside. And Jayden Daniels gives you that upside. And if you miss out on him, yeah, it's the Keon Coleman, McConkley, and that's it. That's who you would miss out on. So I would go Jayden Daniels over Caleb Williams in a single quarterback.
That's an interesting topic. Let me rephrase this a little bit differently because I'm looking at the list. I agree with that if that's 1 QB. If it was super flex, just to switch gears on you, this is the batting order I would have. Let me just pick your brain, okay? If this was super flex, same players, I'm just going to move around. For the audience at home, I'm literally just pulling up the screen. If you can't see my YouTube screen, I know we got people coming over from Spotify. But I got 1.1 super flex. I think Caleb Williams is your guy. 1.2 would be Marvin Harrison. That's how I read these. 1.3, Jayden Daniels. I agree with you. That's my number 2 QB. 1.4, Malik Nabers. Agree with you again. 1.5, Rome Odunze. Agree with you again. Now, here's where it gets a little bit sweet, I think. 1.6, I got JJ McCarthy. 1.7, Drake Maye, dealer's choice. 1.8, Brock Bowers falls to me. And then, you know, the back end, people do a lot of crazy stuff. I've seen Bo Nix. I've seen Xavier Worthy. I've seen Jonathan Brooks go 112, 2.1. You'll see a lot of different stuff in there. You'll see the Lad McConkeys, which I'm excited about, what you were saying, and the Keon Coleman's. How do you see the first round of a Superflex going down?
So in Superflex, it's definitely you kind of have to go Caleb Williams 1, Marvin Harrison 2. I could see them interchangeable, but 70% of the time you're going to see Caleb 1, 30% of the time Harrison 2. That's it. With the number 3 pick, in my mind, it is Jayden Daniels and Malik Neighbors. Same situation. You can go either or. You could flip them. You can go Neighbors before Jayden Daniels. It also depends on roster makeup. Did you trade up for that number 3 pick? And you have the ability to go Neighbors because you already have good quarterbacks. But after that, if it's tight end premium, I would maybe put Brock Bowers over Rome Odunze.
See, I've been doing that too. And like I said, just the bat in order way I've been seeing it. If you can get Brock Bowers at the 1.8, that's a sweet deal. Because I would even go up to 1.67, depending on how you feel about the quarterbacks, you know?
But I also have Maye over JJ just because I believe Maye is the better prospect. Yes, he landed on the Patriots. That sucks. But he also had the better draft capital. JJ was taken after Bo Nix. So why isn't Bo Nix being drafted over JJ? It's because of landing spot. He has Jefferson. He has Addison. So I do love his landing spot, but Maye has that upside of Josh Allen. He has the big arm.
Nice.
He has the size.
Yeah. I've heard that comparison too, to be honest. So,
yeah. So I was actually in a draft today. I took Maye at the 105 over JJ. All right. I tried trading up to the Daniels pick, but he wasn't having it. So I took Maye over McCarthy. Right. I was in a draft a couple days ago with the Going for Two crew. I was at the 105 also, and it was a tight end premium. I took Brock Bowers at the 105. I was happy with it because it's got that 0.75 tight end premium. If it was a 0.5 tight end premium, I might have gone Maye, but I didn't really need a quarterback at the point.
Yeah.
So I decided to go Bowers just because in my dynasty overall rankings, I have Bowers as a top 3 tight end. And I believe his value will hold because we saw it with Pitts. When Pitts was a top 2, top 3 tight end, when he came in as a rookie, his value still held. So if he does fail this year, you can still trade him as a top 5 tight end next year.
What's interesting about what you're saying with Bowers, though, too, right? He was drafted with the high pedigree, and you're like, well, wait, we got a guy here already. Well, guess what? That guy was drafted by the former coaching regime. So he may actually be the blocker, and right now it's early reported. Heck, Jamie, you talked me off the bridge. You're the one that convinced me Bowers is going to be the wide receiver 3 in the slot here, right? He's probably going to take some of them Jacoby Myers snaps a little bit. What do you think?
Oh, he's definitely going to be above Jacoby Myers in targets. So you look at the back, you look at the receiving. You got Devontae Adams, and that's it. So you're going to put Brock Bowers in so many different packages all over the field. You can put him in the backfield. Like I said earlier, I alluded to it earlier. You could run with him. You could pass out of the backfield. You could put him in the slot. You could put him on the outside. You put him as a traditional tight end. He's going to get his points. He's going to keep his value. That's why I have him so high. But yeah, I have seen drafts
and
where
basic
it's
strategies between a super flex and a 1 QB, right? That's kind of what you have to do, like what you're saying. On that note, too, Jamie, the top 10 we have it cemented. We have Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze, 4, Brock Bowers, Xavier Worthy 5, Brian Thomas 6, Brooks 7, Caleb Williams 8, Ladd McConkley 9, Kean Coleman 10. I kind of like the back end of that first round. I kind of like those Ladd McConkley, those Kean Coleman. I like these wide receivers. What says you, bud?
Yeah, no, I love Ladd McConkley. If he falls to you in a single quarterback league at the 9 spot, that's a smash.
I don't know why he didn't get enough love, because we did the player profile on him. He had 98 receptions in college, 1,025 yards, 10 touchdowns. He played 31% in the slot, 69% wide. Herbert's going to get a lot of value out of a guy like that. Yards after the catch, he was a yak guy. And not to mention, you were saying this earlier offline, Williams is gone. Keenan Allen's gone. Who'd they bring in there? Boyd, I think? No, it wasn't Boyd. Who'd they bring in? They brought in
DJ Chark.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the GJ. I'm not worried about none of those guys. So Ladd is excellent value after the 1.8, 1.9 when those sites are going. The site here has Ladd at 9. That's a smash to me too.
Yeah, no, even in Superflex, I would consider Ladd at the 111. So that's you put the other quarterbacks above him, like that's a smash pick.
And then our next man up here, Kean Coleman at 10, which will round out our top 10. I didn't really care for the player profile per se, but he's always been slow. You can't really knock the guy for being slow. That's what he was already. It's not like you reinventing the wheel, but he is going to Bills. That's a heck of a landing spot for Josh Allen. So I kind of agree with the way this first top 10 shaked out. What says you, bud?
Yeah, no, I moved up Kean Coleman so much in my rankings. He was probably my top guy that I moved up. So like I like to play Superflex. So in a Superflex, I had him slotted in at the 212, 301 in a Superflex. Now in a Superflex, I have him at the 203. So right here in a single quarterback.
Ooh, okay, yeah, that's interesting.
That's a smash play right there. I love Kean Coleman just because of his landing spot. I would have loved to see him go to a spot that would have used him as like a big-bodied slot receiver, as opposed to what the Bills are going to use him as an outside receiver to replace Stephon Diggs. But he can totally smash in that spot with Allen's big arm. Kean Coleman and Josh Allen are going to be the connection in that offense. So that's why I moved him up like pretty much 12 spots.
He ran every route. You know what's interesting, though, about this first round of fantasy football drafts, and we only went through the first 10 here, with the exception of Bowers and the couple quarterbacks that shake out, and then some people want to get cute and they want to take Brooks. I don't. I want to play dealer's choice with that, which we'll talk later. There's like 6 wide receivers, 6 or 7 going top. And I just want to go over that with you. Your top 7 wide receivers: Marv, Neighbors, Rome, Worthy, Ladd Thomas, or Coleman, in some sort of order, right? So, so this is about spot on what we're seeing, what we're expecting in drafts. Any thoughts on these top 10, Jamie? I know we kind of hit them hard.
Yeah, I would actually consider. I love Brian Thomas. Don't get me wrong. He is going to take some time in that offense.
Why is he fading? He was one of our top guys. Everyone's fading him all of a sudden. There's nothing wrong with Brian Thomas.
There isn't. We all knew he was going to take about a year or so to develop. He runs 3 excellent routes, right? Like, he is so fast and everything, but he's going to need some time to develop. In about a year or 2, I can see him being a number 1 in an offense. So I see it fitting with Christian Kirk when Christian Kirk goes away in like two years, Brian Thomas is going to take over that offense, and he's connected to Trevor Lawrence.
I agree. It's not a Brian Thomas problem. It's a Jaguars problem. Once they figure out that depth chart, he's going to be your guy.
Yeah. So if I was in a situation and Jordan or Jonathan Brooks, I know it's a weak running back class, but that's why Jonathan Brooks is pushed up into the first round. If I had a choice between Brian Thomas and Jonathan Brooks, I'd have a little bit of trouble depending on my roster construction. I might go Jonathan Brooks just because he has got that immediate production.
I mean, you're not wrong. Brooks is going to get the lion's share to load. No one's trusting Herbert. Sanders kind of crapped the bed down there. So you're not wrong if you're looking for number one running back. Me personally, I know that my batting order is Jonathan Brooks, Benson, Jaylen Wright in that order. Dealer's choice. And then I got maybe Blake Corum and Marshawn Lloyd a little bit later. I like to let somebody else make that early pick. And then in the mid-second, I'm taking whatever running backs left between the Bensons and the Corum type. But, yeah, if Brooks is your guy, 1.12, by all means have him. All means go after that, you know. On Brian Thomas, though, you're absolutely correct. The only thing knocking him is he only runs a couple routes. You know, take the routes into account, take another year. He's probably a taxi stash this year, right?
No. I could see like 800, 850 yards. Shoot, what would that be?
Startable
catches, like 70 catches, something like that. Like he's going to be a great flex play for you. But he's got that upside that could possibly be a top 12 guy.
Let me ask you this, because I'm going to move on. I'm going to read the 11 to 20 because I do have a couple. I have a couple in here that I have concerns with, and I'll ask you in a minute. Number 11 is Jayden Daniels. Number 12 is Ricky Purcell. Number 13 is Trey Benson. Number 14 is Mitchell. Number 15, Xavier Legette. Number 16, Marshawn Lloyd. Number 17, Blake Corum. Number 18, Roman Wilson. Number 19, Edge Cooper. We're getting in some IDP now. And number 20, they got Dallas Turner. What says you about this top, this next 10, this top 10 tier here?
So it's a crapshoot, honestly. It's all preference. I
like Daniels over Maye. I thought that was a gutsy call because I've been doing that too.
No, I love Daniels over Caleb in these single quarterback rankings. So, like, if I was at the 110 in a single quarterback league, I would consider taking Jayden Daniels. He just has that upside. But I do love.
Dude, Jamie, I forget what it's like to play in these 1 QB leagues. I know there's a lot of guys in our audience that do it now. If you need a quarterback, there's so many guys this year's class. But yeah, I really like the upside of Daniels. I would take him there. You know, if I needed a QB, I would.
Well, he has the highest upside of all of these quarterbacks in this draft. I know if you want to play it safe, go ahead and get like a Matthew Stafford type. That's going to be like a QB 20. No, I want a QB 5. And Jayden Daniels has that QB 5 upside. So I love how RPO has Daniels in their top 12. That is perfect, man. And like I said, I would take him at the 110. I would take him at the 110. So I'm actually higher on Daniels.
Most sites are behind right now. I'm going to say, and they're behind pay. RPO is tracking this. It's a free site. It's an honor to be on here doing this, to be honest. Not only is it a free site, you got expert rankings. You got the 1 4 to 10, like myself over here. All their promo stuff, all their rookie and their dynasty stuff is free right now. So it's a pleasure to be doing this. But also, when you look at the way they got it, is the same way me and you had it this offseason. I've been saying, Jamie, it's a wide receiver delight this year. Look at wide receivers. Look how highly ranked they are. And we're about to see in the next bracket, we're about to see the defensive linemen. It's just which way do you like it? Do you like vanilla or do you like chocolate? Which way do you like it? On that note, too, Jamie, I think we're all in agreement here. The elite wide receivers going in that first should be Marv at 1, Neighbors at 2, Rome at 3, Worthy at 4. You got your choice, Lad Thomas. What do you like? Kean Coleman, a slight dig past that, but I can see him in the first, right?
Yeah.
Once we get down here, though, when we get down here, and I don't know if you agree or disagree, we haven't really had this talk yet, but I'm looking at their number 12, and they got Ricky Purcell. What are your thoughts? Because in my mind, he's the next guy up. Purcell is my next guy up on the wide receiver list, and then I have a surprise one. I'm curious what your thoughts are. But what says you about Purcell at 11?
So Pearsall is not my next guy up, but I can see why. Okay. He's got that first round draft capital.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. He's in a great situation to where if they do decide to trade one of their receivers, we don't know which one. It could be Ayuk, it could be Debo. But if once they trade one of them, I could see Pearsall being an instant fantasy contributor. But it's that if yes. They trade them, do we wait a whole year with Pearsall, or are we going to see a trade happen this year with the 49ers? So that's kind of why I kind of have him a little bit lower. Plus, he's got that age factor. I know he's a little bit older of a prospect. I believe he's 24 something. So when he does get to his second-year contract, he's going to be that 27, 28-year-old when he gets that contract. That kind of puts me
ask you this, because I do get it. He's got draft capital. The 49ers picked him up, right? So he does have the draft capital. Also, they're trying to trade Ayuk right now, and Debo could be gone as well. So I can see the reasoning behind having him here. Without revealing your list here, because this next tier is where it gets interesting to me, how many other receivers that we haven't mentioned do you have ahead of Purcell?
Just one.
Okay, I think I know where you're going to go with this. So I'll move on from Purcell because I think we're in agreement. Where I have an issue with the list is that 12 to 13 because I wouldn't take Benson there. Benson's my RB2. You can usually get him like 2.2 in a super flex. You can move back a little bit, but I think we're in agreement. Have a wide receiver in there. And then from here is where it gets sweet again. You got number 14, you got Mitchell, and you got 15, Xavier Legette. Any thoughts on those three, Benson, Mitchell, Legette?
Benson would be my number one target out of all those three.
Okay.
Mitchell and Legette are a toss-up to me. I love both players.
So offline in another chat, I was a little worried about Mitchell. You kind of talked me back off the bridge, so to speak. So why do you like Mitchell with the Colts?
Mitchell is going to step into that, and what's his name? Pierce. He's going to step into the Pierce role. He's got Richardson, which has a strong arm. Mitchell is fast. He's got the size. He can get downfield. He's going to be that. You know how we always talk about 1A, 1B receivers? Well, in that offense, you have a 1, which is Pittman, right? And then you're going to have a 2A and a 2B. So you got Mitchell and Downs. They're going to go back and forth. So I believe I said before in another podcast that Mitchell is a great best ball player. You don't know what week he's going to blow up. What was the receiver that I comped him to? Mike Wallace from the Steelers years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you remember Mike Wallace? Like I was all on him back in the day, like 2010, 2012. I don't remember. But I remember being frustrated because one week he would go off, next week it would be nothing. So I see that with AD Mitchell. Kind of same thing with Legette. So that's why I kind of have a coin flip between Mitchell and Legette. Legette is in a situation where he doesn't have a strong quarterback throwing him the ball. It doesn't fit what he does. He needs to go downfield. He's going to get those contested catches. He's great at that catch point. And I don't think Bryce Young can get him the ball because I don't think Bryce Young can stay upright that long enough for Legette to get down on his route. So if you play best ball, Deontay Johnson is a steal because he's going to get 140, 150 targets from Bryce Young because all Bryce Young does is dump it off. I call him Mr. Dump Off.
Yeah, and you know what else too, man? I was looking at this too. With Mitchell, he's probably going to take over that role of the Colts, right? You were saying the Pierce role, you know, because Pierce really hasn't done anything. So you kind of opened my eyes to that a little bit. I don't really care for his landing spot, but I'm open to it. I think they're in the next tier. But I'm like you. I have a couple guys that I'd like. I think I'd like to see a couple more receivers in here. When we get to Leggett, I think we're a little different. You really like Leggett. I did before the senior combine. I did before the Senior Bowl. What are your thoughts on Leggett?
So, like I said, Bryce Young, I don't think he pairs up well with Bryce Young. Bryce Young only had I believe he had a 22%.
Because I didn't see it. That's why I was asking.
I want to say he had a 22% deep ball completion rate, right? But he only threw 3.5 deep balls per game. So if you're only throwing 3.5 deep balls per game and you're only completing 22% of them, that kind of makes me a little bit nervous there. So, like I said, Leggett matches up on the downfield, and if Bryce can't get him the ball, like how is he gonna get fantasy points?
You know, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I don't really, when we get to this tier of the wide receivers, because I agree with it so far. I think they're good. I think the RPO network, they're good on everybody except for there's like 2 receivers, definitely 1 receiver that hasn't been revealed yet that I'd put a little higher. But other than that, they've been on point, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. This is exactly how I would rank them, except for my next guy that I want to talk about.
Yeah. Before we, and I think I know who it is. Before we get to that, there are 2 players in front here in this next tier. It's Marshawn Lloyd and Blake Corum, which in my mind, they're RB4 and 5. Is that the way you see them? What are your thoughts on Lloyd and Corum?
I mean, toss up, because when you think of Lloyd, he's not an every down back, right? He's in a situation where he goes to Green Bay. Great situation to be in, like honestly. But you have Josh Jacobs in front of him. People are looking at it as, well, Josh Jacobs has a 4-year contract. No, he does not. He has 4 one-year contracts.
I was hoping you were saying that. I was trying to research that a little bit. Jacobs on a 1 contract. He can be the guy so early. People are sleeping on this. Other analysts aren't grasping that. Marshawn Lloyd could be the guy as early as the end of this season.
Yes, because next year they have an out. They have an out every single year on Josh Jacobs' contract. So if he doesn't fit the situation well, Marshawn Lloyd is going to be the guy there. So
I love that landing spot. A lot of people are saying they don't. I don't think they're paying attention to it. And on that note, let's talk another landing spot, because you know running backs and linebackers, it's all about the landing spot, mind you. But Blake Corum with the Rams, they love grinding out later guys. I mean, he can do something similar to what Kyron did last year. What do you see? Do you see him as a backup? What do you think about Blake there?
No, see, there's a reason that the Rams drafted Corum so high. It's because they don't see Kyron Williams being able to keep up his production that he got last year. He was seeing 70 to 75% of the snaps last year. He's only, 190, 195 pounds. He is not an every down back. He's more of a pass catcher in that backfield. So if they bring in Corum and they split that backfield, I can see them both producing. So right now, Kyron Williams is being looked at as, oh, he was so great last year. Well, no, it's only because they had no one else that they really loved. They drafted a guy this high, not to replace him, but to come in and relieve him of
there was
that full-time
statistic, and Jeff Lambert going for 2 was the one that was saying it. When you have Puka over here and you have Cup over here, and no one's really fearing that. He had the least amount of 8-man fronts in the whole entire NFL. So,
yeah.
So, hey, for this next tier, we're going to talk about one particular guy here, and I'm going to give you the floor. For the audience that's just tuned in, we're about a half hour in to the RPO Football Show, the first show that we're doing together, me, you, and Jamie here. Just wanted to throw that promo code out there one more time. These are free rankings, dude. You go over to the RPO site. They're giving away free rookie, free dynasty. Nobody else is doing that. On top of that, you have the number 1 IDP ranker 2 years in a row. Got myself, the number 4 ranker. You got Mace, the top 10 ranker. You got 3 top 10 rankers. Plus you have guest show. Plus we have this going on. You can't really beat these rankings. And if you're still not sure and you guys want a sleeper out there, I'm telling you right now, this next one is going to blow your mind. Jamie, the floor is yours. The final person in this tier, if you don't mind, can you tell our audience about this next player, number 18, Roman Wilson?
Yes. So I actually have him in my Superflex rankings as the 16th overall. So that tells you a little something how high I have him. Roman Wilson,
Holy
man.
Smokes. Where do you have him as a wide receiver, if you don't mind me asking? Where's he ranked?
I have him above Leggett. I have him above Polk.
So do I.
Let's see. I have him above Pearsall. I actually have him. I have above Troy Franklin.
Ooh, spicy.
Hold on. Let me look at this RPOs real quick. I have him above AD Mitchell. And
so let me ask you
this. I put him in the same tier as Keon Coleman.
Let me shoot this at you. Would you have him above Pearsall?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Okay. See, this is what we're getting. You're getting that home audience. You're getting some fast facts here. Would you put him ahead of Leggett?
Yes.
Okay. Would you put Roman Wilson ahead of Lad McConkley?
No.
Okay. How about Brian Thomas Jr.?
No.
Corley?
Yes, of course.
Mitchell? What about Mitchell?
Mitchell, he's above Mitchell.
So Marv Neighbors, Rome Worthy, Ladd, Thomas Coleman, Purcell. So you got Roman Wilson probably wide receiver 8 or 9 on your board.
Yeah. Like
maybe even earlier.
Right behind McConkley. And I'm getting him a whole round later.
That's a sweet deal.
That's the fun part.
But why do you like him so much?
Because this guy has promising potential and such high level separation in his skill set. All right, so like, man, this guy.
I know he's going to the Steelers. No, you're good. I know he's going to Steelers when we think of landing spots.
I hate the Steelers. I'm a Browns fan. I hate the Steelers. But I also know that the Steelers are amazing at picking up later round receivers, and they've done it. They've done
it for years, man.
So I got to give the Steelers props for that. So I put him above because like he's going to be targeted in that Deontay Johnson role. So Deontay Johnson left. There's a void. They really didn't bring anyone else in except for this draft pick that they drafted so high.
You know what? On your note, too, go back to Steeler history. They groomed Hines Ward. They groomed Santonio Holmes. They groomed Plexico Burress. And I'm missing people. They groomed Antonio Brown. Mike Wall. I mean, they have a history. On top of that, Roman Wilson comes over from Michigan, I believe. Yeah, he had 12 of the 24 touchdowns that team had. He was an all Big Ten scorer. Whenever you see a receiver that gets 700 yards on a running team, like he's going to do some things. The Steelers are going to find a way to put him on the field. This was your guy all year, and I kind of zipped my mouth for this podcast. So I'm so excited to let you talk about him a little bit. But, yeah, you've been spying him, and I think the landing spot is perfect because they really don't have anybody there.
So I loved him. I loved him before the landing spot. That's the thing.
Did you?
But as soon as he landed on the Steelers, I saw that as a plus. Other people saw that as a negative, and I didn't understand that because I've been targeting this guy in all my drafts, and if I can't get him, I trade for him.
Yeah, I actually just traded up. I just traded up in one of mine on the RPO one because I'm kind of excited. And I think this is where the rankings break a little bit, because some people, you see Lloyd's in this tier bracket too. Some people are thinking those are bad landing spots. Opposed to me and you, I think they're great. Let's look at PFF. PFF has it right now. The wide receivers on this team, you got Van Jefferson starting? I don't think so. You got Roman Wilson? Okay. Quez Watkins ain't going to start. Scotty Miller? No. Who else you got? George Pickens? Yeah. He's easily going to make this team and be the best, if not second best receiver.
George Pickens is a different type of receiver. He's a downfield type guy. Roman Wilson is a separator.
Here, he'll catch it over there. You're right. Versus
short. But the fun fact is that I see Roman Wilson as a better, more explosive version of Deontay Johnson. So if Deontay Johnson was getting those short passes and he was getting 6 to 7 of them every week, Roman Wilson's going to get 6 to 7, and he's going to do more with those catches. So if Deontay Johnson was wide receiver 30 per game last year, right? What's to say Roman Wilson can't be wide receiver 30 next year with these same targets? So you're drafting Roman Wilson as a flex player, and you're going to put him as your second or third flex, right? And he's going to give you consistent wide receiver 3 numbers every week. And that's why I love him so much, because he's taken over those vacated targets for that Steelers offense. Yes, I know it's going to be a run-heavy offense, but they still need to pass the ball. This isn't 1985. They need to throw the ball.
Hey, vacated targets. That sounds like a pretty badass team, fancy football team name. I might just take that, vacated targets from you. Any thoughts? I'm going to move on to the next tier here, if you're cool with it.
Oh yeah, let's go.
It's IDP. So you got 19, 20, and 21. We're going to do them all together. We got 19 Edge Cooper, 20 Dallas Turner, 21 Junior Colston. Okay. Now, full disclosure, audience, full disclosure at home. Scoring matters. Context matters. I get it. Is it tackle heavy? Is it this? Is it that? What me and Leo tend to rank off of, we go off the Fantasy Pros tackle, very tackle friendly, very specific rankings. So I'm assuming that's what the rookie rankings are here too. You're not wrong taking Edge Cooper here. I prefer this edge class. So I'll reveal who my player is here, but this isn't my list. So it's always great to have a second set, if you will. It's always great to analyze and compare. But let me tell you about the player on their list, number 19, Edge Cooper, okay? He's a bit of a tall, lengthy guy, okay? He's the number 1 PFF matrix, all that stuff, whatever they want to do right there. They're all in on this guy, okay? They are all about him. They are all about Cooper right now. But I'll tell you what, he's a bit undersized. He had some tackle issues in school. He's going to have to get coached up on the next level. He really, really is, okay? The next guy that I have here is Dallas Turner, who is everyone's consensus number 1 DL. He's not mine. I have Jared Verse ahead of both of these guys. They have him a little bit lower, and, agree to disagree. Jared Verse was my favorite coming out of school. He was ahead of 2 years ago if he would have came out. He was ahead of both Aiden Hutchinson. He was ahead of both those guys there. Boye Mafe, whatever. So I'm still a Verse guy. Turner's here. Turner's more than fine. But just don't be afraid of the DL lineman in this class. If you really want to go linebacker, because most of our leagues are set up that way, hey, I'm not going to knock you with a Cooper pick. Me personally, I'm going after these DLs, so it's more like my preference on these. So that doesn't have to be your preference. But on that note too, these guys are pretty darn good, either ones you get. Right, Jamie? I mean, I like the Dallas Turner pick, but I prefer Verse there. But you're not wrong. Those are 3 top players, no matter how you slice it. But yeah, I'm not going IDP early, but then again, I have that background. But I can see people in the second, somewhere at the end of the second, coming up and being cute, trying to get these players. I kind of like guys in the next round, which we'll get into in the next episode, whatever. But I kind of like other IDPs in that range. But that's kind of my analysis. I don't see nothing wrong with those guys in there. And, of course, Jamie, I'll throw it back to you. Number 22, he's got Drake Maye. 23, he's got Jaylen Wright. 24, he's got Jaylen Perk. 25, he's got Jermaine Burton. And then what we'll do is we'll take a pause. We'll come back on for the next episode. We'll reveal the top 26 to 50. But what says you, Jamie, about Drake Maye, Jaylen Wright, Jaylen Polk, or Jermaine Burton? What says you about those guys? I'm very curious what your thoughts are.
Polk, I know he's got that first-round draft capital. I see him as more of a NFL-type receiver as opposed to getting us fantasy points. So I'm okay missing out on Jaylen Polk.
I've been fading him too, to be honest.
But one guy is Jaylen Wright. I love Jaylen Wright. And I would put him more towards the Marshawn Lloyd tier.
I had him as my RB3, and I'm surprised to see him. They got him a little lower, but I've
actually pre-draft. I've seen people take Jaylen Wright as their RB1. Right.
Oh wow!
Yes.
Wow.
Like, as a top prospect.
I had it
Brooks, a straight prospect. But
Brooks, the thing is, Wright, Corum, Lloyd, or Lloyd Corum. But did the landing spot really hurt him? Is that why he's so far down here?
That's what people are thinking. All right. But I don't think it hurts him as much because he is a stud prospect and he has league-winning upside. So, like I said, pre-draft, I've seen people as high as RB1, right? Like he landed in Miami. Miami traded up into the 4th round to grab Jaylen Wright. And guess what they traded for him? A 2025 3rd round pick. So technically, we can say that Jaylen Wright has day 2 draft capital. That's just how much they believe that he can add with his skill set to this backfield. They have a 32-year-old Mostert. How long do you expect him to be in this league? What's to stop him from getting injured this year? Let's say they do a 3-headed backfield and they each get 33% of the carries. Let's say that happens. They're all going to be
right. That's what I'm concerned with.
They're all going to be productive, though. Like that all gives them all flex value. Like A-Chain, Mostert, and Wright all have similar skill sets that can give you fantasy points week to week. Now, let's say one of them gets hurt, and let's say it's Mostert. Mostert gets 55% of the carries compared to A-Chain's 45%. Wright profiles more as that Mostert type back, so Mostert gets hurt, Jaylen Wright steps into that 55% of the carries, and A-Chain still keeps his 45% role, right? So in the future, in 2025 and beyond, what's to say they're going to split? Obviously, that's the plan. You have 2 elite receivers. They're both going to produce. We've seen them put up 50-point games last year, and that's insane.
So with Polk, I know he's a little bit slower. He's got the yards after catch, whatever. I have him deep. I have guys. Well, I'll even ask you. Would you put Franklin over Polk?
Yes,
I would.
Of course.
Would you put? We haven't done yet. Baker over Polk? I think I would too.
Well, see, the thing is, Baker's going like a whole round, maybe a round and a half later.
Yeah, I see that too.
I will not leave a draft without Javon Baker.
And then the other note too, Burton, which is the next player up here. Burton, right? I think Burton's 25, your last player here.
That's a great pick.
I would put him ahead of Polk too. So I think I love this list, but I have a couple critiques. I put Verse ahead of Turner IDP. I like your Xavier Wilson. Heck, you shot that one. And I think Polk I'd have lower. Those are my 3 critiques. Otherwise, it's like the best top 25.
Not the fact of putting Polk lower. It's the fact that I like other guys in front of him like Troy Franklin and Burton. Like,
I was going to ask you about the landing spots there. What you say about Burton?
With Burton's landing spot is perfect because we've seen what Tyler Boyd has done in that offense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Burton, that's why I drafted Charlie Jones last year, because I thought Boyd was going to leave this year and Charlie Jones was going to step into that role. But then they go ahead and draft Burton. Burton's a better Charlie Jones. So I'm dropping Charlie Jones on all my rosters, and I'm going to go ahead and pick up.
I did that too. I was so happy with Charlie Jones last year, and I was picking. Same thing with Tyler Scott of the Bears. All these taxi stashes, this wide receiver draft class is so superior. I mean, we're already top 25 deep. We're talking about guys.
I think we're at the top 30, honestly. Mm-hmm. You mentioned Corley, Verse, Latu, Franklin.
Yeah, we're about to get into them on the next episode.
So we reached the top 30.
You're absolutely correct with Burton, man. Burton is going to be the Tyler Boyd replacement, and who knows what's going on with Higgins. You know what I mean? Jamie, any closing thoughts? We're going to cut it, and we're going to go to part 2 here. Any closing thoughts? Anything you want to say about these players?
Just Roman Wilson is my flag plant this year. You missed out on him. Go to Jaylen Wright.
Hell yeah. Amen. I agree. And hopefully the audience is getting some of this and taking all this in. We're going to be back for our next installment. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Going for Two. Check out Jamie's work over at the Fancy Six Pack, Going for Two Live, and the Sunday Sit Start Show at Going for Two. Take care.